And we are now live on Facebook. So I want to say welcome to everyone listening from two areas. We have people here live on Zoom as well as listeners and viewers live on Facebook. So thank you for joining the Novi Public Library's Community Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion listening session. This is the second one. We had one back in the fall and we are having another one. We want to keep connected to everyone, find out your thoughts and listen to your concerns and address them as best as we can. Maybe give you a little update if we can here and there about what we're doing to make things better for the library and for our community and for our guests. So I appreciate you joining us this evening. This is a listening session, so we are here once again to listen. We're here to listen to your concerns, your comments, your recommendations to help improve everything for all of us. And we appreciate you joining us this evening. Joining me are members of the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee. And we have a new chair, a Novi Library board member who's also new to the board, Srini Chirukuri. We would like to say welcome to you and greet the audience, please.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, it's my honor this year to be the chair of the DEI committee. And as Gail so properly said, our goal here is to listen and learn from you how to make this the best library we possibly can be to serve. As I like to say, we have to do the most for the most in our community, and that's our goal here. Thank you for joining the listening session. I hope we're going to continue the great feedback we build on the great feedback we had last fall when everybody here, we had just tremendous participation then. And I also want to assure you that listening doesn't end with the end of this meeting. All of us trustees are members of the same community you folks are, and you should feel free and open to reach out to us whenever is convenient, and we'll do our best to have open dialogue all year long. Thank you, Gail.
Very good, thank you. We also have Novi Library board member and vice president, Kat Dooley. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here and I'm looking forward to listening to our community's feedback.
Thank you. And another board member, past president and founder of the chair of the Diversity, Equity, Inclusion Committee, Tara Michener. Welcome, good to see you.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here and welcome to the community. We're happy to hear you and to listen.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I guess I should start with, can you please mute yourselves as you enter the room? Thank you so much. We also have Novi Library Director Julie Farkas. Thank you for joining us, Julie, and welcome.
Hi, Gail. Thank you so much for giving us another opportunity to get together with our community tonight. Happy summer, everyone. I hope that everyone is enjoying the weather, although it's a little chilly tonight. But I'm excited to tell you that the library has started summer reading, and we also opened today full capacity of the building. So just some examples of wanting to engage with you and get you into our building and visiting your library again. So thanks so much. Look forward to hearing from everyone this evening.
Very good. Thank you, Julie. Also, one of our newest members of the Novi Public Library staff and the committee, Nicole Williams, who is our Human Resource Specialist and DEI Officer. Welcome, Nicole. You can say a brief welcome because we're going to chat a little bit later if we have a chance. So unmute yourself, please.
Good evening, everybody. I think you can hear me now. My name is Nicole, and I am the new Human Resource Specialist here at Novi Library, and I look forward to this evening's open communication. Thank you, Gail.
Very good. Dana's here with me. We're both doing both, and Dana Berchanik. Help me say it. I know your name. I've been saying it. Communications coordinator, and she's going to help with all the behind the scenes and front of the scenes work that we're doing here this evening. Welcome, Dana.
Thank you so much. And thank you everyone for joining us today. I really look forward to hearing all your thoughts and, seeing how we can make Novi Library the best. Thank you.
And just in case you didn't know, I'm Gail Anderson, Programming Coordinator for the Novi Public Library and this evening's moderator. We're going to get started. I think we set this out for an hour. I think we did an hour and a half the last time, but so we're going to get through and make sure everyone who wants to speak will have the opportunity to speak. Once again, we will be the ones listening. We're going to have to kind of set a little bit of time guideline just to make sure everyone has the opportunity to speak. So we would ask that you limit your comments to 3 minutes. And then if we have another opportunity to circle back around, we will do so. Okay, and also reminder that if you see us looking down, we're not ignoring you at all, especially me. I have a computer down below, so I'm monitoring on Facebook while I'm looking at Zoom, and many people are taking notes. So please don't think you're being ignored if you see us looking down. Also, I want to make mention, I think we had an issue the last time, and occasionally we have it on Zoom. If you see frozen screens of people, let's see a few now, it isn't anything that we're doing behind the scenes. It's completely technology that has frozen faces or whatever is going on there. So please don't think it's anything that we're doing to disrespect anyone. Okay, if you'd like to make a comment, question, or anything, please let Dana know in the chat section of Zoom. If you hover over your screen, I believe chat is right in the middle. Just type in there that you would like to speak. We will unmute you and you can talk away. We are making every effort we can to improve in the library. As we do that, I do want to start off with a nice little video clip. Dana put this together and it's just a little teaser of what we've been doing so far. Dana, you have that video ready?
Yes. All right. Let me share my screen.
Very short.
All right. Everybody can see?
Yes.
Okay.
There we are. I thought that was pretty good. It shows just a very, very little snippet of some of the things that we've been doing around the library to help improve diversity, equity, and inclusion relations and more. Good job, Dana. Thank you so much. I also want to thank the additional members of the library board who are joining us this evening, including our president, Kathy Crawford. They were all listening, but I can see you all in attendance, so thank you. Brian Bartlett and Tori Yu, I see that you're in our audience as well, so thank you very much. So let's get started. Let's talk. One thing I always ask at every program that I moderate is the only thing I ask is respect everyone and please no swearing. It's just something that I ask. So if you're comfortable with that, it just makes me comfortable. Okay, that's all. Let's see, do we have anything? Let's get started. I don't want to start right off rambling. So let's see if we have any questions or concern that we can talk to you about. Let's see something in the chat currently. If you'd like to speak, just type it in, please, to Dana that you'd like to speak, and we will unmute you. To give you a few seconds to get comfortable, talk about whatever you like to talk about to help us improve things here. I see some things, let me read. I do see a question in the chat, and I'm not sure if that person would like to express it themselves. The question is, how long is the term for the chair of the DEI committee, and where can that term information be found publicly? So that is one question that's currently in the chat. Speak up just a little bit. Okay, that better? Once again, if anyone would like to speak, please type that in the chat and we will. If not, we are going to move on just a little bit. I want to show, I think it's appropriate now to talk about some of the things that we're doing with April. I see April Stevenson is with us. She's our information services manager. You can wave if you want, April. We're going to play your video because it was just so easy and it was so much that we wanted to put into one area, talking about monitoring collections, equity footprint within the library. There's been extensive training on this, as well as diversity audit We're going to take a look at first half of this video. The interview was done with Dana and April, and just kind of update you a little bit while you get a little bit comfortable with speaking, because I don't see anyone just yet ready to make a comment. Oh, yes, we do. I do right now. I see someone. I can share my thoughts. So we'll pause on that video if that's okay, Dana, because I see, looks like Sharon.
Hey,
I can share
is it my
thoughts.
turn?
I don't see who said that.
It was me.
Yep.
It can be your turn.
Sharon first.
Sharon's first.
Oh,
okay.
okay.
Yeah, sorry.
And then you'll be
That's
next. Okay,
okay.
Betsy, no problem.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, Sharon, how are you?
Nice to see everybody.
Great.
The first thing I would like to say is that there's a lot that I've seen in the past year that I've really appreciated and enjoyed. So I want to especially commend Tara Mitchner, who I think really pushed for the DEI committee and for a lot of what the library has accomplished in the past year. I've attended a lot of the DEI related meetings, and I've noticed in your board packets that those DEI topics have been very well attended. So for instance, I attended the recent Juneteenth program. I've attended the anti-Asian hate program, the Indian panel that you had recently. And when I look at the numbers in your board packet, I see that I was far from the only one to attend those programs. So I think that that is just a sign that the community really wants this type of content. I'm also pleased to see that you're doing a diversity audit of your collections. I think that's really important. And I love a lot of the displays that you have in the library. I guess my biggest concern is that diversity, equity, and inclusion are actually three different things. So diversity is kind of who's in the room. So we hear a lot about how diverse the Novi community is, and that's lovely. But what I want to see is that the library and community as a whole takes steps towards inclusion and equity. So inclusion, I think of as, do you have a voice in the room? And equity, I think of as, do you have power to make things happen in the room? And I've been disappointed over the last year to see what I perceive as a lot of defensiveness on the part of leadership and board members when concerns are brought up, that often those are met with explanations or the suggestion that maybe that we're misunderstanding things instead of truly listening and trying to make sure that the community's voices have power. One specific concern I have is I see in the board packet coming up that you're voting on returning to a fine structure for overdue items. And that's a huge equity issue, because if you think about who might have difficulty in getting to the library to return materials, often that's people that have transportation issues. And those are the same people who might struggle to pay their fines. And those are the same people who might really benefit from library resources like internet access. So I was disappointed to see that when so many libraries are moving towards a fine-free structure, that's again on the agenda. And I hope that that I will see the library step up in not just doing kind of baseline, providing education, but also showing us that you, the board, and the administration understand the information that you're sharing, that you put that into action.
Very good. Thank you so much, Sharon. Appreciate your comment. All right, Betsy, I don't see you on the screen anymore. But
I'm still here.
Okay, there you are, Betsy.
Hi, everybody. Good
Thank
evening.
You, Sharon.
Thank you so much for hosting this event. I'm really excited to participate. One thing I'm hoping that we can get a little more understanding on is how everything evolved regarding the Juneteenth holiday. Sorry, it's been a really long day. I have been watching these meetings for a long time, and I know that we had that holiday was something that a lot of people had to really argue to get that to even be included at all as a closure. And it was initially set up to be a holiday, and then it was, I think, supposed to be a paid holiday. And there was a lot of confusion as to how it then became back to now it's just a closure. I feel like it's a really important holiday in our culture, and I think it's really important to a lot of people in our community. And I would like to see some more information about how that happened and what the board can do going forward to try to be more responsive to the African American community in Novi. I think it's very important that we try to hear what people are asking for and understand, and not just make a snap judgment that because we ourselves don't feel like we're being racist, that these concerns don't need to be addressed. I think it's really important that we hear like where people are coming from instead of just making assumptions about where they are. But yeah, so if you guys could try to address that tonight, I'd really appreciate it. And again, thanks for having us all here.
Thank you very much, Betsy. Appreciate your comment. And just so everyone is aware, tonight will not be the time that we will reflect, or sometimes we say respond to your comments. We will listen today, and then on July the 20th will be the opportunity for us to come back and reflect on what has been said. Some things I must make you aware of. Some of your comments, all of your comments we're taking note of, but some don't directly, are not in our control in terms of things like board control. So we will forward those to the board, but the DEI committee as it stands currently, we don't have certain powers to make certain changes. So just wanted to put that out there, but we are absolutely taking note, and we have the board members here, so they are listening as well. So thank you so much. Someone else. Dana, do we have anyone else listening on?
No, not yet. If anyone would like to have some time to comment or make some concerns or anything, please feel free to message me directly, or if you want to message as well in the chat.
That's right. If you're not comfortable speaking, you can definitely type your comment privately to either Gail or Dana. Either of us can read your comment if you're not comfortable making your public statement. Don't want it to stay too long, so I am going to move along with the little video. I call them little commercial breaks while you still get your thoughts together. We're always open. Just type your you want to speak. But it's about a 2.5-3 minute video clip of what I was speaking of between Dana and April regarding collections and equity footprints and everything. You have that video ready, Dana? Okay, we'll just play that. We were also monitoring, so have your thoughts coming in, and we'll approach you right after this little break. Please watch.
April Stevenson. She's the head of the Information Services Department. And we're just going to kind of outline a couple things that the Information Services Department have done over the past year to help increase our diversity, equity, inclusion here at the organization. So, April, something huge you've been working on is the diversity audit of our collection, correct? Can you just talk about that a little bit?
Yes, I'd love to. This has been a great project. We have had a couple of staff members working to investigate and research other main libraries across the country to see what they have done to provide a diversity audit, what that looks like. So it involves actually quite a bit of work and going through different collections to see what type of diverse authors you have, what type of diverse subjects you have, and really going book by book. So that took quite a bit of time, but well worth the effort because it gives us a snapshot in time, really, of what we have and where we need to go from there. I'm happy to say that we also, through our research, found out something called reverse auditing, otherwise known as front-end auditing. And front-end auditing is just what it says. You're doing your ordering and you're pulling in your diversity on the front end. And so thus allowing you to build your collection over several fronts. So you're building it while you're ordering, you're tracking what you're ordering, you're tracking the authors, you're tracking the subjects so that you can build that collection. And on the final end, you are going through the weeding process, which can always be a difficult process. And so what we're doing with that is providing a reading pause for marginalized authors. So that means that a marginalized author, if that book comes across as being needed to be read, whether there can be various reasons for reading a book. It could be age, it could be the book is kind of grubby, but that would get a pause. We would hold that book longer than what we normally would. So just really allows us to make a much more diverse collection for this community, which is a beautifully diverse community, and really happy about that. Really happy to see that happen. It's really going to focus on starting for 21-22, and we're really happy to see that get going.
That's great. And then kind of zeroing down more into the youth section, you've been doing some changes with the award books too, right?
Yes. So we had what most libraries have, which is the Caldecott and the Newberry collection. Those are major awards that the American Library Association comes out every year and are chosen by librarians from across the country. So we had the Caldecott. We started with the Caldecott collection, and we changed that. We decided that to make it much more inclusive, we would call it the Picture Book Awards. So we already changed the signage. We have changed the cataloging for the Caldecotts, and at this point, we are now beginning to pull the Coretta Scott King books. And so Coretta Scott King is an award for not just picture books, but we're starting with the picture books that is in the name of Coretta Scott King, Martin Luther King's wife. And so we're going to be pulling all of those picture books and labeling those and adding those to the collection, giving us again, a much more inclusive award book section, but being very inclusive and providing, a 365-day display for that. Eventually, that will also include the Purabelle Prey Award, which is named for a famous Latina librarian. We will have the Schneider Family Book Awards and the Stonewall Family Book Awards. So we're going to be expanding that one out to be much more inclusive. So very excited about that picture book award area.
That's so awesome.
Okay, that's just a little bit about what the library is currently working on with our efforts to improve DEI relations. I see anyone else, Dana, that you see want to speak? I see another comment that says, why has it been so hard for some of our board members, in particular the newest board members, to acknowledge anti-Black hate and the harm of racism to the Black community? Great work, library staff, for the programming that is Black women and men as part of programming. Black men especially being represented is paramount for a genuine and tangible move in the right direction. Next will hopefully be the first Black man working at the library or the board one day. Just a comment there. Do we have anyone else who would like to speak? If you are watching us from Facebook, I am also monitoring there. So if you would like to type your comment in the comment section, I can read it from there as well.
I've got, excuse me, I have somebody who private chatted me. I'm not sure what their name is though. So I don't know if they would like to.
That's fine. If
come
did
on.
They private it? Did they say they wanted to speak?
Yeah, they would like to speak, but I just see, oh, it's Jason.
Hey, Jason. I don't see you in one of the boxes.
Oh, there we go.
Hi, guys.
Oh, you were that ERFD with all those letters across the bottom. Thank you, Jason. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, I think my son's been playing around with my Zoom. If
That's
you can
okay.
see, my background has a picture that he tends to like.
Hey, that's great.
But all that aside, I wanted to call in to speak to Director Farkas and the board members. First off, DI committee, thank you for your work. I think the diversity audit is no small task. That is huge and very important, and I appreciate all the efforts of the staff taking that on. The programming also has been really insightful and really good. I've been able to watch a majority of it and learn quite a lot myself. I think there's this weird dichotomy going on though, where the DEI committee is working very hard and putting together great programs. The library staff has excellent displays and really working hard to bring equity to the collection. And then in the board meetings, we have almost the opposite. There's a lot of pushback to requests to be heard, to be included, to be recognized. It just doesn't seem necessary. And I can't get the logic side of my brain to wrap around it. And I also can't get the emotional side. Logically, it would make sense that your efforts would be equal across the board, but they're not matching. And emotionally, I don't know why you wouldn't want to help people that are asking for help or want to listen to people that are asking to be heard. I'll give some concrete examples though, because I am an engineer, so I'm a numbers guy. So numbers wise, so concrete examples. Since June of last year, it was brought up that that the library make Juneteenth a holiday. And it was originally declared that in June, that same meeting. Then there was clarification back in August as to whether it was just a day off or an actual holiday. It was considered a holiday and the matter was closed. And then it was brought up back again this year as to whether it was a paid holiday or not. And then the board voted not to make it a paid holiday. And then recently in the agenda for this month, I noticed something very interesting. In the agenda, there's a library policy B2 closures, which lists Juneteenth as a closure. It was updated back on June 25th of last year, which is when Juneteenth was added. There was a subsequent amendment in March for some minor verbiage, I believe. But then on the other side, on page 45 of the packet, there's a policy called holidays, in which Juneteenth is not listed at all. And the last time it was updated was in 2016, which tells me Juneteenth was never made a holiday by the library at any time. And that logically, using my rational side, seems extremely problematic because there was multiple times when it was stated it was a holiday. Even at the last board meeting when it was voted not to be a paid holiday, it was supposed to be just not a paid holiday, but still a holiday. But that wasn't the case. And I feel like there's a lack of transparency at best, maybe a problem with honesty and openness to the public at worst. But it's not a holiday. It's just a closure, like a Father's Day or like a staff in-service day. It's not raised to the significance of July 4th, which I heard in a lot of board meetings, most of the board members were very clear about. If not in this current session, definitely in the previous session. So that's very disheartening. It doesn't make logical sense. And emotionally, it doesn't make sense because why not? I mean, it's a federal holiday. The government now pays and takes off for it. Why are we doing this? And to be discussing this a year later is a lot of emotional turmoil for the Black community living in Novi. To be told, yes, we recognize you. Oh, no, but not right. No, we will. Oh, no, we won't. The yo-yo game has got to be taxing on our community, our Black community members that care about this. And I'm only speaking because unfortunately, it doesn't seem like the board and the director are listening to their community. I don't feel like I should have to speak, but you're not hearing them. So hopefully you will hear me when I say what the community asked for a year ago and what you promised was make it a holiday. So it would need to be in your policy that says holidays, and that policy would have to be amended in the present, as opposed to the last time it was amended back in March 16th by former President Craig Messernick, who was on the previous cycle of the board. That needs to be changed to recognize Juneteenth as a holiday. If you are unwilling to do so, then just say you don't. Say you don't care. You don't want to listen to the Black community. They're not that important. They're not worth paying. Also, since I am a numbers guy, I want to address,
Jason, if you
go
don't
back
mind,
to the rational side.
Jason.
That was the emotional side. So the
Jason.
rational side,
Hello.
on
Jason.
numbers,
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I don't believe there's a time limit, Gail, but I can
Yeah,
stop
I did
and come
ask for
back if
3.
you want.
If you don't mind, I just see some comments coming in, and I didn't mean to. I was trying to find the appropriate way to jump in, but if you don't mind,
Yeah,
I'd
I
like
can
to
pause.
give a couple, and then I'll come
Absolutely.
right back to you for sure, respectfully. Thank you.
Yeah, please let him finish. Let him finish. That was
Who was that?
fantastic.
Who was
Everyone
that?
wants to hear him finish. It was fantastic.
Yes, we will definitely come back. I just want to make sure I give everyone a chance, and then please remember your thought, okay, Jason? I do see some comments in the chat. Dana, do you see anything that they would like to speak? I do see where it says, thank you so much, Tara, for her diligent work, the library's DEI initiative. Her dedication and hard work is so much appreciated. I would like to ask, what are the future plans with the new director of the DEI committee to continue to uplift Black voices in the community and to work toward equity within your own board, as well as the policies that the Novi Public Library still has not changed? So that was another question. Yeah. Yes, and I will let Jason finish. I did see that. The board meetings have been very hurtful. There has been consistent disrespect toward Tara Mitchner. There's been a lot of back and forth on the issues like Juneteenth, and public comments has been moved to the end of the meeting after voting takes place. That's another comment. I will ask again before I circle back to Jason, just so I can give everyone a fair opportunity to speak. And if you tuned in later, I heard a few doorbells ringing. I guess that's people logging in. Once again, if you would like to express yourself, please type in the chat you would like to speak. You can type it to Dana or I, or we can actually see it right in the chat section if you'd like to have a comment. If not, I don't want to waste any more time. I'm gonna go right back to you, Jason. Please continue.
Thank you, Gail. So from a number standpoint, because great ideas are great, but they need to be financed. It's a matter of business. And I deal with that all the time in my occupation. If I could make a flying truck, but it cost $1 billion, no one would want it. So on the number standpoint of having it being a paid holiday, recognized as a holiday, because just a quick misnomer, it doesn't seem like there's any room in the library's current policy to have something declared a holiday but not be paid. It looks like there's only two categories: closure or a holiday. Holidays are all paid. So the misnomer that Juneteenth was going to be a non-paid holiday doesn't seem to be a truism. It doesn't have any actual place in library policy. I don't know how you can make that happen unless you made a separate and distinct category in your policy somewhere to accommodate that, which I feel would be unnecessary. Seems like it'd be easier just to make it a holiday, but I'll give you the numbers for that. So in the same policy, on page 45 of this of the agenda for the meeting on Thursday, which is super helpful because I've never seen this document before, but it does list out how much it would cost to have a paid holiday, because it provides the hours paid to permanent eligible employees that are working between 20 and 29 and a half hours per week that would receive a flat rate by the table. So I'm going to go really conservative numbers here. So let's assume that you have 50 eligible employees. I think that's probably high. I'm guessing the library probably has a max 100 employees, and probably I'm going to say half would be eligible. So I'm trying to be conservative in these numbers. Let's say you have 50 eligible employees and they were all eligible at the rate of 26 to 29 and a half hours they worked during that scheduled Juneteenth holiday week. That would mean they would all receive 6 hours of paid holiday for Juneteenth at $15 an hour, which I'm not sure if the library charges, but I'm just assuming where we tend to be trending for minimum wage. So let's say they're all roughly $15. That works out to an even $4,500. So just for comparison, in the last 2 months, the library was charged $5,901 to cover lawyer fees and legal fees. And that's just in the last 2 months. That's the months of April and May. And that's just 2 months of legal fees. So another comparison is the cafe pays the library $5,000 a year in order to operate in the library. So the number is not that big. And if you really, I bet you if you asked Novi Community School District if they wanted to especially have the dollars from the cafe go to fund a Juneteenth holiday for the library, because the library couldn't find it in their budget elsewise to make it so, but they really, really wanted to do it for the community. I'm guessing that they may be amenable to that, or if not, even if you just partition that amount that you got from them every year and say, well, this is the money that goes to Juneteenth, and the local cafe funds this holiday. That could be a win-win. Just one way to look at the numbers that doesn't make it look so intimidating or so impossible or financially irresponsible. So that is one point where the feedback from the board and you, Julie, as the director, doesn't seem to match what the community is asking of you. And it doesn't even make logical sense. And then again, on the emotional side, why wouldn't we give them a holiday that's paid? Why wouldn't we recognize Juneteenth like July 4th? It says, when you say no to that, it says you're not worth it. It says, I don't really care about that holiday. I don't really care that it matters to you. There are more important things that we'd rather spend our money on. There's a whole list of other things, but it does not come across like you care. So if you care, I would strongly suggest all the board members listening, Kathy, Srini, Kat, I know this is something Tara's brought up again and again. Tori, I know, has voted for it. All the board members listening, I would strongly suggest, Brian, I would strongly suggest that you bring this back up as a motion. You could even do it Thursday. You could make it all right. You could make things whole if you care. But if you don't, everybody's entitled to their own opinion. Just tell the public you don't care. Just be honest with them. Tell them you don't have the money. It's not worth it. It's not something you care about. You don't want to do it. But don't tell them it's a holiday, because it's not. It's just a library closure day, which means you care about it like Mother's Day or Father's Day. Just be honest with them. Don't string them along and say you're going to make it a holiday, you're going to pay for it, all that stuff, and then take it away. That's just, that's not nice. The second thing I would bring up is
Jason, if you don't, I'd like to comment. Jason, I'd like to comment every now and then, just to make sure that we don't have anyone else. So hold on, we'll come back to you again if we need, if we have some time. But I want to make sure I do see some comments typed in the chat. Dana, do we have anyone else who's asking to speak?
No, I don't see anyone. Nobody's messaged.
I see Audra. I don't know if you were yielding your time or you said you can be later. AUDRA. Do you have a comment at this time?
Hi, no, I just typed it in the chat. My apologies.
Okay, no problem.
I think you read them already, so thank you very much. But I would like to echo Jason's sentiments regarding the behavior of the board. In any other public capacity, this type of behavior would be egregious and would constitute a recall. So I would advise the board to have more transparency and show a bit of empathy.
I lost you. It muted on you, Audra. If you can unmute, I did not hit mute, just so you know. If you want to unmute yourself, I didn't hear your last comment. There you are.
I'm so sorry. I'm in the middle of a grad class too, so I got unmuted since I'm double timing here. I would just wanted to say I would like to echo Jason's sentiments, if that was not shared when I was accidentally on mute, that this behavior of some of the board members towards Tara Mickner is egregious. And unfortunately, this type of behavior is being tolerated in the Novi Public Library and within the community and within any other organization. There would be a board recall as far as any type of unfair practices. I would like to again commend Tara and her husband and those who have been fighting for all voices to be heard. And I would encourage the Novi Public Library Board to show some more transparency and keep their meetings live broadcasted and recorded so that those who cannot attend can watch them later.
Thank you. Toby, I see your hand is up. Please unmute yourself. Welcome. Toby
Hey,
Cancel.
how's everybody doing? So the comment that I wanted to make was to first commend Jason for a job very well done in terms of his honesty, in terms of the information he provided, and in terms of his bravery. So I think that from a cultural environmental level, even beyond just the interpersonal level of the library experience, as a non-white person, all you want is complete honesty and transparency. So like Jason said, if you don't care, just say you don't care. And now we know how to act accordingly. You want to stay away from the deception and stay away from symbolic gestures, because all that does is causes confusion. And for other non-white people on the call, if someone said confusion, now you know how to react accordingly. So if all of the arrows point in the confusion direction, that is mistreatment, that is injustice, and that is abuse. So either you be deceptively abusive, completely honest, or a person or persons who believe in justice.
Thank you, Toby. I see someone said to speak. It looks like Jim Polk.
Hello.
Hi, Jim. Welcome.
Well, I'm going to make this meeting interesting finally.
Okay.
I have a rather unique perspective regarding diversity, equity, and inclusion. I grew up in Detroit. So I don't think it means what a lot of people think it means. Diversity means we all think the same. Equity means we select a group that we want to give extra to. And inclusion means we include everybody except for the dirty Christians and Muslims and Buddhists who don't share the beliefs of the diversity, equity, and inclusion people. So maybe I've made this more interesting. I think that the paid holiday thing, not paid holiday thing, I don't think there's respect or disrespect either way. I think that's a negotiated item among labor. I'm not sure that I think there might be a little more being looked into on that. I like the idea of a diversity audit. A very good library has enough in it to offend everybody, all of us, together, equally. So let's see if that made the meeting any more interesting. I hope you all understand what I'm saying. Let's go from there.
Thank you, Jim. Do you have anyone else? I see it says, what specifically will all of the board members other than Tara, Tori, and Kat do during the board meetings to help me as a Black woman restore confidence in my safety in the spaces of the library, whose board representation of the library values are directly affected by the cultural tone and the words you say during these public meetings? This concerns me deeply. If board members who can't articulate their understanding of anti-Black hate existence, and the board does not acknowledge that anti-Black hate exists and has been a part of my experience in the library, how can the board members set a tone to help protect me and my family in the library? Thank you for the staff for doing everything they can to help me restore a sense of my well-being at the library. Please share your references, sir. Anyone else? If you're just tuning in on Facebook and you'd like to share a comment, please type it in the comment section. I am looking there as well. Dana, do we have anyone else?
Nope, I thought I saw a hand earlier, but I think it went down. So you can also raise your hand, with the little feature on there.
If you did have your hand up, please, you can unmute yourself. Oh, and the person who said, please share your references, sir, they were speaking to the last gentleman who spoke.
May I?
Why not? Sure.
I'm not sure. I missed, I guess, what she said. So if she could state her question.
You can actually type, I think you can see it in the chat section. If you want to private message the person, you can see the comment because it was shared with everyone, but we do want to keep this focused at listening session on library
Actually,
issues. So
I don't have a problem explaining what I meant. He mentioned that there were some references where that you could look up to see what his point was that he was pulling information from. I'm just curious, what were those references or the bibliography of that information?
If you'd like to share it openly, Jim, you can. If you'd like, you can. That was Tia Marie Sanders who made the comment. You can actually type your comment directly to her in private. I'm not sure if that's something that everyone wants the response to, because this is a listening session for diversity, equity, and inclusion matters that we as a committee are open to address. But if you'd like to both communicate on what was mentioned, please do so privately. Do we have anyone else who'd like to make a comment? If not, I do want to give Jason another chance. We have time, and you were on a part 2. I didn't want to forget you, Jason.
Sure.
Please continue.
So the other part that I feel like is a real easy reach, but for some reason seems really hard, is the statements of recognition. Seem very, very difficult for our board to make. They don't cost a thing. They don't affect library policy. They're just basically saying we hear you and we recognize that you're going through stuff. I think most people want to hear that in the course of their life. They'll have hard things that they go through and they just need to talk to somebody and have that person say, I hear you, that's rough. And that's all those statements are supposed to be for. But I mean, they just never get passed. That's hard to understand from a logic standpoint, because they're free. They don't cost the library anything, and they're easy to do. All you have to do is vote yes, and it's done. So from a logic standpoint, seems like a no-brainer. If that's something your community is asking for and it doesn't cost you a dime, why not? The second part of it, again, is really on an emotional level to the community that you're saying you support and you're here for. That the video in the intro was very much about, we're here, we include everybody, we're caring, we're open for all. I don't understand why you would say no. You know what that sounds like. It sounds terrible to the people that are asking you, you know, things are not being done, or things are being done to us that are not nice. Can you please make a statement that you acknowledge what is being done is bad? And that's all they're asking. And you say, no, I can't do that. Sorry. Without an explanation, it sounds like, one, you don't think they're bad. So you think what's happening to those communities, I'll give the most recent example, the Asian Pacific Islanders and the Black community, there was a statement that was put up that was rejected. So you're saying what's happening to them, you don't think is bad. You think that's okay. Or you're saying, yeah, I personally think it's bad, but I don't want to say it because I don't want anybody to think that, you know, I am too supportive of you, or I don't want to face any persecution because I stood up for you. Very much like when we were all in elementary school and there was that bully picking on somebody. You weren't the bully, so you weren't doing anything wrong necessarily. But if you were standing there watching, you had a choice. You could go get help or directly intervene and stop the bullying, or you could just stand there and either applaud it or do nothing. Applauding it and do nothing are equally as damaging to the person that's being bullied, being victimized. And that's kind of what, that's what the board has done every time a statement has come up. I don't think this world is going to change so fast that people are going to stop hating people. So it's going to come up again, I'm guessing. And I would suggest strongly that all the members of the board do some real deep soul searching and ask yourself, why is that such a problem for me? I mean, your votes are on record. We clearly know who voted yes and who voted no. It's always the same 3 against. It's always the same 3 for, and always the same 4 against. And for those 4 that keep voting against it, you really need to examine yourself and say, why? And what is my job here? And what am I doing here at the library? Who do I feel like I'm protecting? Or why do I feel like I'm not brave enough to take a stand? I mean, I think it's a binary decision tree, it kind of like a fishbone diagram. It's either this or that. Is it a lack of courage on your own personal part? Or is it a lack of conviction? You don't think it's bad. You don't relate to these people and you don't want to stand up for them.
Thank you, Jason. I'm gonna appreciate your comment.
And that's all I had to comment on. These are just 2 very large, big examples that I just want to throw out to kind of clear the air. If anybody else wants to comment on these or other topics, feel free. But I want to know that there are community members in Novi that hear you, that hear the Black community and are here for you, and hear the other communities that are, struggling to be heard by the board. There are people that are listening.
Thank you so much, Jason. We do have a couple of more people that would like to speak. Thank you very much. I have someone said, to Jim's point, I'd like to hear the reflection session, what DEI means to each of the board members and director in this session. That's another comment. Sharon, you would like to speak again? Sure.
Hi. I would like to first just say there are a million things I'd rather be doing tonight rather than be here. And there are a million things I'd rather do on Thursday nights than be at library board meetings. I would love to be at yoga right now. That would be much better for my mental health than being here. But when I first came to Julie a year ago and spoke about my hopes for the library stepping up in terms of DEI, it was not in the hopes of making trouble. It was truly with the hope that the library would do an even better job of serving the needs of the community. I've mentioned before, I have 2 children, one of whom is white and one of whom is Black, and I want each of them to be embraced by this community in the same way. But over the past year, what I've felt is that that when I share those concerns, that there's a repeated pattern of first feigning confusion. So for example, the statement that Tara Michener put forward about anti-Asian and anti-Black hate. First, there was this general, like, I'm just really not familiar. Is racism really a problem in Novi? Is this really anything that we need to address? Is this really within the purview of the library board? And then when those concerns were addressed, and I sent the library board numerous resources on that, and I've repeatedly invited Director Farkas and members of the library board to contact me directly if they want to hear about the experience of a Black child in Novi who has had experiences like classmates sending him messages, calling him the N-word, repeated harassment. So when you're saying, I'm not sure if racism is a problem in Novi, I'm saying to you, I can tell you it is. And when then at the next meeting, there's this attitude of, well, this is sort of negative. I don't know if this is really necessary. It just is unfathomable to me. Like, what is the harm? What is the risk in acknowledging the pain of members of the community? I don't see what the harm is. And instead, what I see is a concerted effort to not acknowledge those community members. So I've gone from wanting to be working with the library to feeling great frustration. I would like to commend Jim Polk, because I also agree that libraries should be resources for the entire community and should always involve a breadth of experience. And that's one of the reasons that a diversity audit is so important. I remember that Carol Sabrowski mentioned in her comment and in her letter to the library board that she wants both sides of LGBTQ issues addressed. I would echo that. You have so many books in the library about the straight experience. And I'm saying, let's make sure that LGBTQ community members also see themselves reflected in your library. You have a million books about white children and white history. And I'm saying, let's make sure that my child can go into the library and also find a book his experience. So I agree with Jim that that the library should have resources for everyone. I am not in any way in favor of censorship, but I feel so much frustration that when I voice my concerns, and I'll remind you that these meetings are on Zoom. I also am not good at disguising my reactions, but when I'm making a comment and I can see people mouthing their responses or shaking their heads in disagreement, it's so disrespectful and so hurtful to come to you with an open heart asking for you to listen to your community and to be met with what just seems like a concerted effort to not understand your community. So I'm so grateful to the librarians. I'm so grateful to those of you who have used your voice to make sure that both of my children feel welcome in this community. But I would really, all the effort that some of you have put into shutting down these efforts, please put your efforts elsewhere. You could do so much good in the world. There are so many wonderful things that you could accomplish with that passion and that energy. And there is so much that I could accomplish with my passion and my energy if I did not have to waste my time saying, could you just acknowledge that racism actually affects your community? Could you just acknowledge that Juneteenth is important? Could you just let Tara Mitchner speak without being interrupted or without shaking your head or rolling your eyes? It's that simple. So
Thank you, Sharon.
You'll listen today.
Thank you very much. And we are at our time to end, but I am going to go just a couple of minutes over just because I want to let Jim respond just for 1 minute, not full 3. And then I do have Tara who's going to make a final statement and then we're going to end. Jim, 1 minute, please.
Thank you very much. Juneteenth is a legitimate holiday. I think that's something to be celebrated. The lady that just spoke about her kid being called the N-word. Children are mean. I don't think any children in Novi are having their teeth knocked out simply because they're white or black, like I did. I don't think any children are having the back of their head caved in simply because they're white or black, because I did. This is getting out of hand. It's completely out of hand, and it's all these people are trying to do things to make themselves feel good and only making the problem worse. Black people are not oppressed. We've elected a black president twice. If white people were so racist and white supremacy was so prevalent, he would have never got elected. This is nonsense. And I hope for the little white kids that have to grow up in Detroit that this stuff ends. Thank you very much for giving me the time.
Okay. We are closing out the comment section, but we do have Tara Mitchner here, and she is going to talk briefly about DEI's multicultural walkthrough, which is something that's very important that the library is working on at DEI. Tara, I'd love to hear from you.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you everybody who shared. Following up here. So I am not the DEI chair anymore. That was taken away at the last meeting. I just want to be clear about that. Srini Chirikuri is the DEI chair. However, I had some projects that I was working on, and they're good projects. They're research. I took a whole year to consult with multiple library professionals. I am a speaker for Library of Michigan. I have another program coming up for them in soon. So this is the work I do. DEI is my passion. I get paid for it. It is what I do. So I'm not going to neglect our library from having that just because I'm not the chair. So just to clear that up for those who might be questioning or curious. The multicultural walkthrough is a really great experience. You know, we've already talked about how we are not all the same. We have different perspectives, backgrounds, upbringings, belief systems, etc. The multicultural walkthrough Ashley gives our community, you, a chance to have surveyed blanks to go through the library as a patron with open eyes to look at different aspects of our library and to share your thoughts with us. There's several walkthroughs that have been done. So right now I'm compiling things together, but they ask really good questions about, what does the reception desk look like? If you're a person of color, were you greeted? If you're not a person of color, were you greeted when you walked in the library? Sometimes people are greeted, sometimes they're not, so there's different aspects. There's the collections, there's the energy that you get. There's a lot of things to actually turn in, and it's a really great opportunity. So for those of you who are passionate about our library being one that informs, inspires, and includes, which is our statement, I would ask that you let us know if you'd be interested in being one of the people to do a multicultural walkthrough. So that's a really quick snapshot because Gail wants me to keep it to a minimum of time. But I again appreciate everybody's comments tonight. This is it's a heavy topic. It's a heavy time. We have a lot of work to do. We are not done, and there are oppressed people. I am one of them. I will say that. Thank you.
Thank you, Tara. And it's an hour, so time's up. That went by fast, didn't it? Thank you, everyone, for your comments, your concerns, your questions. I do want to let you know that we heard you. We definitely are listening. We will continue to listen. There will be a reflection session July the 20th at 7 p.m. I would ask that you would register so you can receive the link to hear the comments that are to follow on this. And we hope that you continue to keep the hope, keep the faith, and we're gonna work through this. I appreciate hearing every side so we can see what we've got on the table and work forward to progress. It's an ongoing effort. It's never ending. We are making progress in some areas, maybe not in all, but we're making a good effort to move forward through dialogue and more. So thank you, everyone, for joining us. If you have any additional comments related to DEI or otherwise, you can always email us. Our ears are always open to hear what you have to say. I see, Tara, you have your finger up to say something.
I was just going to mention, because you were inviting them to stay in touch, there's a board meeting coming up Thursday, and there's public comment opportunities.
Absolutely. Very good. Thank you. All right, everyone. I believe that concludes this evening's reflection and discussion and everything. So have a good night. There's a little bit more daylight out there for you to enjoy. So thank you for joining us.
Good night.